Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today I'm going to be doing a pre-draft Houston Rockets full mock offseason free agent. We're going to be talking about free agency and free agency predictions, draft predictions, and what the lineup for the Houston Rockets would look after what I think the Rockets should do and what I am predicting the Houston Rockets to do. Let's get into it. So, I think that, starting off with the Rockets, we're going to start off with the draft. The draft is tomorrow, and I'm so excited. And we pretty much have a really good idea who the Rockets are going to be picking at pick 4, and that is Amen Thompson. Amen. Yeah, I mean, the athleticism he's going to bring with Jalen Green and how like fast. Just imagine a fast break between Amen Thompson and Jalen Green, and that not only is the athleticism he's gonna bring, and the good scoring, and I know 3-point shooting. That's something he has to work on. Maybe he can improve on it. If he doesn't, it's not a huge deal. It sucks, but if he can't work on it, it's okay. And I think Amen Thompson can probably work on that 3-point shot. The Rockets have some good assistant coaches that can help him work on that 3-point shot. We just hired Ben Sullivan from Boston, who's great with helping 3-point shooters. Ben Sullivan's a guy that's known to work with 3-point shooters and working on 3-point shots with different shooters. And Ben Sullivan can help Amen Thompson with that as well, possibly. So I think Amen Thompson would shooting the 3-point shooting. That's a worry, but his defense he's gonna bring. I mean, he averaged three steals per game in overtime elite this year, and then not only that, he can play from the 1 to the 3. Even though most likely because the Rockets are gonna most likely add in a huge free agency guard in free agency. So most likely in that case for the Rockets, Amen Thompson wouldn't be a starter in that case for the Rockets. And if someone gets injured, whether it's the point guard, the shooting guard, or the small forward, Amen Thompson can fill in for them and start at either one of those positions. Amen Thompson can start for the Rockets at small forward, shooting guard, or point guard if we need him to. With how tall he is. I think he's 6'6", 6'7", something like that. And I'm just really excited for everything he's going to bring to the Rockets. I think, I just think he has a lot of, potential. And the only worry is that 3-point shot. And then getting into pick 20. If you're going to draft someone at pick 4 who's not a good 3-point shooter, and, the Rockets were one of the worst 3-point shooting teams, at pick 20, you need to pick someone who is one of the best 3-point shooters in this class, and that is Brandon Podezemski, who went to Santa Clara this season. He averaged 19.8 points per game and 8.8 rebounds per game this season in Santa Clara, and I also averaged 1.8 steals per game. Shot 43.8% from 3, a really, really good 3-point shooter. I have a really good feeling he will be available at pick 20. Even though he's a good shooter, I think he's going to be, one of those early to mid-20s pick, and the Rockets have the first pick in the 20s at pick 20. So I think definitely this is a guy the Rockets need to go ahead and get at pick 20 if he's available. Definitely a good fit for the Rockets. He might not be getting a lot of minutes to start off his rookie year, but the Rockets need shooting, and he's definitely a good 3-point shooter and would help the Rockets with 3-point shooting. So you end up finishing off the draft getting Amen Thompson and Brandon Podezemski, and then that's it for the draft. Then getting into free agency. I know Rockets fans aren't going to like this, but the first thing you do is sign Dillon Brooks. I know. I was not on board with it originally, but I am on board with it now. If you're going to draft Amen Thompson, you're going to fully go out on improving this defense. You look at some of the defenders the Houston Rockets have. KPJ had a really solid defensive year. He was great at getting steals for the Rockets. KJ, good shot blocker. Jason Tate, good all-around defender. Jabari Smith Jr., good defender. Good shot blocker as well. Tari Eason, great defender. Some of those guys I just mentioned are good defender for the Rockets. Amon Thompson, a hell of a defender. You add him into the Rockets. Ime Udoka, a good defensive-minded head coach. Adding him in as the NBA as the head coach. Dillon Brooks, he's one of the best defensive players in this free agency class, and he's, to be honest, with his playoff performance and his playoff behavior, with how he acts, calling LeBron old, then punching him in the midsection. It just his playoff behavior and not only his playoff behavior but his playoff performance, because he was god awful in the playoffs, was honestly, I think, is bringing his value down a little bit in free agency. But we focus on his bad playoff moments, but this guy was good for the Grizzlies in the regular season. Averaged almost 15 points per game, and the big reason you're going to bring him in is for defense. He's going to do a little bit offensively for you, but the big thing he's going to do for you is defense. And honestly, if you draft Amon Thompson, you sign Dillon Brooks, and then you also have other guys like Jabari Smith Jr. as a good shot blocker, Tari Eason, Jason Tate, good defenders, KJ, decent shot blocker. Who else am I missing? KPJ, good at getting steals. And then Ime Udoka, great defensive-minded head coach. I mean, when I list it like that, I'm thinking the Rockets are going to be one of the best defenses in the NBA with having guys like, just the names Amon Thompson and Dillon Brooks on the same roster makes me think the Rockets are one of the best defenses in the NBA. Then you add Jabari Smith Jr. shot blocking, Tari Eason and Jason Tate's all around defending, KJ shot blocking as well, KPJ getting steals. This Rockets defense would be very scary next season. Their defense, and then Ime Udoka running it all, being the head coach. Oh man, the Rockets defense, I know you don't want to add in Dillon Brooks, but their defense would be insane with Dillon Brooks. You get him on a cheap deal for someone who is a great defender and average almost 15 points per game. I'm thinking a 3-year, $40 million deal, which is I think that's not, is that 14 a year? That's not 14 a year. That's like 13.8 a year. Which I think Dillon Brooks, with his defense, I think he might be worth around $13.5 million, because he also can get you, not 15 a night, but he averaged 15 points per game this season with the Grizzlies. So, I think he would provide good, some good scoring and some good defense for the Rockets. I think it'd be a solid signing for the Rockets. But that's where you're not done, because if you're paying $13.5 million for Dillon Brooks, the Rockets have $60 million in cap space to spend in free agency. So that is why the Rockets making a huge move in free agency and picking up Raptors two-time All-Star Fred VanVleet of the Toronto Raptors. Point guard, there's your starting point guard for the Rockets. That's the guy the Rockets, that's the second guy it's their plan B if James Harden re-signs with the Sixers. He averaged 19.2 points per game this season. I'm thinking a 4-year, $148 million deal, which I think that's like $37 million a year to land Fred VanVleet with the Houston Rockets. So you sign VanVleet, you sign Dillon Brooks, you draft Amon Thompson, and you draft Brandon Podziemski. And then here's what your all-around roster starts to look like for the Rockets. At point guard, you have Fred VanVleet. At shooting guard, you have Jalen Green. At small forward for the Rockets, you have Dillon Brooks. At power forward for the Rockets, you have Jabari Smith Jr. At center for the Rockets, you have Alperen Sengun. And then off the bench, six-man Amon Thompson. Let's go six-man KPJ. And then seventh man, Amon Thompson. Even though Amon Thompson is the backup point guard and probably the best player off the bench, I think KPJ is more the six-man type player. Eighth man, KJ Martin. Ninth man, Tari Eason. And then you got two other guys off the bench in Brandon Podziemski and Jason Tate as, the 11-man roster, or the 11-man rotation. I guess the Rockets would maybe run something like 11-man rotation It probably would be a 10-man rotation with Tate staying in the rotation and Podozemski not playing a lot for the Rockets, sadly, because that shooting would help for Houston. But and then if you're wondering about a backup center, I feel like whenever LP is off the court, Jabari Smith in this offseason plan, whenever LP is off the court, and taking a rest, Jabari Smith Jr. will be running the 5. So basically, that's why you keep Usman Garuba on your roster. So if one of Jabari Smith Jr. or Alperen Sengun gets hurt, you're able to have Usman Garuba to come off the bench and play some minutes. But basically, you never have one of Alperen Sengun or Jabari Smith Jr. off the court. If LP is in the game, we'd like to have them in together at the same time, but if LP needs a rest, Jabari is in the game. If Jabari needs a rest, LP is in the game. Because I think the Rockets are going to have such a deep man rotation, and with Jabari being 6'11" and LP being 6'11" as well, and both being really both of those guys being able to play the center position. I mean, I think the Rockets would run Jabari at 5 whenever LP needs a rest, but that's basically my Rockets mock offseason. But you guys have your thoughts, Rockets fans, and that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out. Go Rockets.